And welcome everybody to your live market update and charts of the day. Delighted to see you here today. I hope you're well. I hope your week has been good so far. And I welcome you all to this session, whether you're watching it live or whether you're catching up later on. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. So let's start by obviously putting up this important message just to remind you that this is for education purposes only. Please make sure you do your own due diligence on anything you see here. Make sure you follow trading plans and, of course, manage risk on every trading action. That's on entry and exit, consistent with your own personal trading objectives and financial situation. Let's get into the stories of the day. And of course, we are in waiting for a big data point tonight. We've got the US CPI, and we saw that reflected in US markets overnight. Very cautious, sort of tepid response to perhaps a little bit of risk coming off the table prior to this, because obviously it could be a critical data point in terms of what the Fed does next. The Fed is expected to cut rates when it meets next, and the debate is whether it's a quarter or a 0.5%, and this CPI data may go some way to determining which it actually is. If we look at the future, then we're seeing flatness again. Asian markets are a little more active in early trading. Nikkei has hit new record highs again. Um, the ASX is down about 0.3%. European futures pointing to a cautious open this afternoon. On the FX front, the US dollar index remains range bound, but does appear to be threatening support. Perhaps that's an indication that markets are believing that that CPI number will come in okay, and hence the chances of additional rate cuts on top of what's expected next week are likely. Gold, as a result, is continuing to surge, creates new highs. We'll look at a chart in a moment. Copper price is range bound, and oil has recovered after a test of support, primarily on the back of the Israeli strike on Qatar. We've seen buying coming in since then. It has created a little bit more instability, perhaps politically. It'd be interesting to see the fallout of what was certainly a radical action. Bitcoin continues to bounce as it has done through the week. It's breached 112,000. Sorry, there's a missing figure off there. It should be 112K. It was a resistance level. We'll check out a chart in a moment. And then on top of the US CPI, there's also weekly jobs in focus out of the US tonight. The poor jobs reports that we've had of late means that this probably has more importance than it would normally have. The weekly jobs is not as keenly watched as monthly jobs reports, but per day could be different. Additionally, and also importantly, we do have the ECB rate decision also due later. Expectation is that they will pause. So on that, let's just have a look at some charts just to get a feel for where things are and see if we can find a chart of the day or two. We'll start with the S&P 500, and you can see there just that edge to the upside. You can see that indecisive candle if you just bring it up a little bit in yesterday's trading. If we look at the hourly chart, you can see how choppy it was. So we got that pullback towards the back end of the US market, in fact, most of the US market, just to put us in a neutral space. And you can see in Asia, not much price action going on, very tight range in the S&P 500. And of course, if we put on the NASDAQ, we will see a similar story. Very little movement in today's price action. Again, that sell-off towards the back of the US session, signifying perhaps a little bit of money coming off the table. On to the USD, you can see there we are testing this. We are testing this support level, which looks important, and consequently, of course, gold is looking strong on the daily chart. New record highs hit yesterday on the futures contract, and we're seeing that move possibly towards 7,300. CPI data, if it comes in soft, will push this up higher still. But what a move this has been since a breach of this range. And support at 34.40, uh, almost a $200 rise in price over the last couple of trading weeks. Copper remains range bound, as you can see. We've had a nice bounce again off this support, which now looks established at around about 455. And there's that bounce in oil subsequent to that Israeli attack, uh, trying to um, trying to target Hamas negotiators in Qatar. That's seen this price spike here. You can see it yesterday, pushing it back off this level at around about $63. That's really quite an important technical move. Just watch for a reversal in this once that comes off the headlines a bit. And here's Bitcoin. So you can see the breach yesterday of 112,500, which was a level we talked about when we last met. A little bit of a continuation coming in today's trading. You can see this on the hourly chart. We've got a really important level now, which has been tested multiple times over the last few hours. If we're going to close above this level at 114,011 to 114,100 as a potential entry. We could see this up to moving up again back towards possibly 117 in the short term. That may prove to be a bit of a stubborn level if we look at. So Bitcoin, of the major asset classes, Bitcoin is probably one that would be my pick as a chart to keep an eye on over the next few hours. Building on what we saw in the US dollar index, let's have a look at the US yen. You can see, as I think we're going to see across many currencies, this sort of sideways ranging movement. We could see it stay in this range up until that CPI data tonight. As for the Euro USD, again, looking at the hourly chart, we've got 200 MA as support here. Appears again to be fairly range bound this morning. If we look at other crosses potentially, let's look at the Euro. Let's look at the Euro Aussie, and again, you're going to see very little movement in this once it updates its price action. We did have this downwards move over the last few days on the back of Aussie dollar strength. I'm going to change the color of this. Um, the a little bit, just so it's more visible. There we go. That's better. So we've got two lines in the sand here on the hourly chart. So worthwhile keeping an eye on this for a breach either way. That's a fairly tight range of around about 20 pips. We may see a little pickup in this, particularly on the back of what the ECB telegraph when they talk about their rate cut later. So watch for a move over potentially 177. That's certainly worth keeping an eye on. But really, on the FX front, we just look at the Aussie dollar pairs. You can see how little these have moved in today's trading. So sometimes the best trade um, to suggest is one that suggests we don't take a trade. And at this stage, FX markets are looking of that ilk. I just want to check on the Kiwi. Not much the same, really. Let's just check on the Kiwi Canadian dollar. Again, we'll just catch up on price action. Yeah, look, that's going nowhere. It's going to be stuck in this range again. And I just want to check out on the, see again, whichever crosses we're looking at for, look at the Euro crosses, very little movement. The highest move is 0.1%. Really, that smacks of let's just stay away and be patient for the right setups to come along. So I'm not going to give an FX chart of the day today, apart from to say wait and see what happens later today when the European market opens. As for the ASX, a little bit of a mixed bag, as we said, 360 ASX. I'll just quickly change accounts. One we talked about before, you can see the continuation of that strong move to the upside over the last couple of weeks. We did have this peak, which hit $50 and then came down on the same day, retracing back to this gap. So trading currently around about 48.50. So we're watching for a move back over here, but I'll probably leave this and see if there's a breach of $50 to the upside. A couple of others that we reviewed on Monday. Again, I'm just going to make sure. NXT, we talked about this on Monday. This is going to be hard to beat at the chart of the day. This network services company broke out of this range. This was an earnings bump, create that gap. We've now got a continuation of that move to the upside and trading currently around about 1740. This sits fairly favorably in terms of the long-term picture. Looks as though a move up towards 1835 beyond the cards. From where we are right now, that is around about 5.5%, but looks like a high probability move to the upside, a little bit of trend continuation going on. Lithium stocks were doing really well earlier in the week, but you can see there that we've had that significant pullback. So leave those well alone. Paladin was another one we were watching, which never did breach the key level at 823 that we identified on Monday. Just having a look at today's price action with markets just down a little bit. You can see gold stocks are obviously doing well. RRL, gold stock, Evolution Mining, gold stock, NST gold stock, RMS gold stock, PRU gold stock. So you can see gold stocks are obviously outperforming. Just to have a look at a couple of others. Actually, we'll have a quick check in on Evolution Mining. The two gold stocks that I tend to like are Evolution and to a lesser degree NST. But you can see there's the breach of that key level, backed up by the move in the underlying asset. I would still be very cautious about entering gold stocks today, just in light of that CPI later. If you are interested in a gold position, then possibly trading the underlying future CFD may be a safer place to be, simply because you can react when that data comes out later on today. Parenti is a stock that we have liked a lot for some time. If we look at it on the daily chart, you can see a new high today. Let's just bring that up a little closer, showing trend continuation. This is a mining services company, so not directly linked to an underlying asset, but obviously if the sector's doing well, and PRN will do very well. That breach of 244 is technically important. It's sitting at 248. This is easily record highs and just continues to power to the upside. That is a difficult one to argue against. Worthwhile checking in on the last hour. And one other to have a look at is just BVS. We are up, possible reversal here. Really nice bounce of support technically, but a 5-wick rejection of a move to the downside below $2.04. So we're at $2.12 now. But I think this may get stuck around 223. But that's still, if we just put it on a line chart, there we go. What I don't like about this is there's lots of price action around that 224, but it could get stuck in the middle here somewhere. If it was to make it to 224, that would obviously be a significant move to the upside. From where it is now, it would be around about 5%. But just because it's in this range now, I think the higher probability trade is potentially a breach of this 237 level with a move up to 244, simply because of previous price action. I think that's so. I'm not sure today is the day, but again, if you're interested in a short-term trade, possibly that is worth some consideration if it fits your trading plan. So I'm going to make Evolution my chart of the day for today. I just want to quickly check in on AGL. I haven't looked at AGL for quite some time. It has been under the cosh a little bit, but you can see there some interesting price action, some gap filling going on in AGL. That gap is almost completed, or that gap fill is almost completed. Possibly keep this on your radar for the next few days. If we do move above this level, then there's a target potentially on this of around about 924. Would make technical sense. As for the US, too much going on really um, to jump up and down about. But again, just to sort of revisit some of the ones we're having a look at later in the week, Micron continues to do well in extended hours trading. It's just having a pause. Watch for a breach of 141.10. Tech stocks are just continuing to recover. Um, let's just have a quick look at Nvidia, which is up significantly in after hours trading. We're having a nice bounce off this. Just again, I'm just going to make sure we've got all the data there. You can see that again, a rejection of a move to the downside. I would be patient with this. I think it might move back over 182 in the near future, particularly if that CPI data comes in soft. And I think that could be moving towards that psychological 200 level. So those are the two I'll keep an eye on. We did have a look at Zoom the other day as well. That has pulled back. Um, again, I was concerned to the upside that possibly the ceiling on this wasn't that large, and that the high probability trade maybe if we start to tackle this 88 level. So again, technically, it's quite conceivable that we could get stuck in a little range here. It looks as though that could be the case. It is called resistance for a reason. That's why it bounced down off that $85 level. So what does all that mean? Well, it means that, to be honest, I am actually quite keen on Nvidia. I should check it out in the morning. I just want to quickly have a look at. We're tracking the airlines as well, weren't we? Let's have a look at. Let's have a look at American Airlines. Again, I just want to do this. So American Airlines stuck in a range support 209. Watch the airlines. American Airlines looks good if it breaches 1344. Some patience needed with that. So there you go. Not a massive amount of charts that are jumping up and down and saying, "I'm your man," but that is what happens prior to big data, and this is big data tonight. Don't forget, of course, we are running an inner circle session tonight. I will just post the link um, into uh, the chat area. We're talking about hybrid trading, which is a combination of discretionary and automated strategies. I have referenced this before, but I mean, you all use some degree of automation if you place a system stop or a take profit or use a pending order, and that's exactly what you're doing. So we're streaming that on YouTube and on GoToWebinar at the same time. So if you need the link for this, then I am just about to post it now. So you should see it appearing in chat. So make sure you're registered if you're already. Would love to see you there. That's 8 o'clock Eastern time that we're kicking off. So it'd be great to see you there. I might run a CPI session independently as well tonight if we can fit it in around everything else. But most importantly, remember what's coming up. Remember to be cautious. Um, this is a big data point in light of where we are now in terms of the context of where markets are sitting. And of course, we shall see you very soon. Take care of yourselves. If you wouldn't mind just popping a like on the video as you make your way out of the room, that would be wonderful. And have a great day. Take care. Bye bye for now.